the two walls. While the seamless blue-gray stone of the canal walls looked pristine, the bricks were anything but, with the mortar needing repointing almost everywhere. From within the glassine dome above the last circle of bricks, the faceted Fresnel lens focused the light from the electric arc into a beam that swept seaward, marking entrance to and the south side of the canal. Not that there was nearly so much shipping since Edinburgh had been abandoned to the ice 2 years earlier. He stopped just short of the lighthouse and waited, ignoring the bite of the bitter breeze on his face and ears, as well as faint whining of the wind turbines along the cliffs farther to the south. Shortly, a faint crack announced that the unnamed glacier that dominated the north side of the canal had calved another white-silvered iceberg. After watching the odd-shaped block of ice fragment and plunge over the canal wall and into the water, he waited until the silent tsunami raced across the 4 Ks between its impact and where he stood. The mass of dark water surged up the gray eternal stone, if only ascending half the height of the canal wall, sending spray skyward. The waters crashed back downward, foaming in places. The ice mist rose in turn, condescending into fine frozen droplets before settling on the stone that comprised everything from the protective chest-high wall to the canal itself and the ancient station structure, and adding more to the intermittent ice melt patches. He could see the tiny points of ice settling on the silver sheen fabric of his jacket, then sliding off. Before long he saw the water from the smaller rebound wave break on the north wall of the canal, loosening a few more fragments of overhanging ice. He waited, wondering if he would sense more, but he was alone with the wind, the cold, and the arc light reflected down on him and the blue-gray stone from the glassine dome. In time he'd turned his careful steps back toward the ancient station structure he euphemistically called his manor house. Not that it was his, or even anything close to a manor house or a house at all. In size, large as it was nothing compared to what had been crushed by the advancing ice a generation earlier and 300 Ks to the northeast. He still held lands and rent holds to the south, purchased cheaply enough when the ground had been marginal grasslands, if that, lands that now provided an adequate income, with the slight increase in rainfall that had come with the ice to the north of the canal, and his prudent investment in a range of fiber worms, some of which had doubtless produced the threads of the silver-sheen jacket he wore.
Yet so little compared to what great-grandsire had enjoyed. But times and climates change.
His lips curled.
So must you.
When he reached the position of the door facing the canal, not that there was any sign of an opening, he reached out and barely touched the unmarked surface, neither warm nor cold to his fingertips, and the stone slid into itself to form the doorway. Tiny ice pellets followed him inside, clicking on the smooth stone of the floor and the Voharan carpet that covered most of the floor of the chamber they called the study, before the wall reformed, leaving no sign that there had been an opening there.
Martin, why do you always go down to the lighthouse when a berg breaks loose? It was a berg, wasn't it?
Marlena asked, looking up from the ancient armchair that had once graced the estate at Norlach. Before answering, Martin smiled fondly at his wife, taking in her clear skin, her amber hair and eyes, once more silently grateful that things with her had turned out so well as they had. So much could have gone wrong, so much of which she was unaware.
You know it was. You know more than you ever tell me.
She shook her head, the corners of her narrow lips turning up just fractionally in the expression of amusement he always enjoyed. He'd tried to explain when he'd first become aware of the feelings, the sense that the eternal seamless stone of the canal talked to him somewhere in the recesses of his mind. Marlena had smiled indulgently then, nodded, and said,
"You must be hearing ultrasonics or the like."
He'd just shrugged. Letting her think that was better than having her think he was not quite right in his mind. And yet, she hadn't been exactly skeptical. More likely amused in some strange way, as she was now. But he was still wary about questioning her in any way that might spur unnecessary introspection.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.